You're now tuned into Painful Truth.
Painful Truth, hosted by Mr. Mentourme.
Painful Truth, hosted by Mr. Mentourme.
Okay. All right, we should be good now. I got a lot of people complaining. I am. Okay, now we should be good. All right, we are good. We should be good now. Now, we're talking today 3 ways on retiring in the world that we call life. Millions of Americans, sad to say, are not going to retire. They're going to be probably working to the age of 70. They're probably going to be working to the age of 80. And the question is, how do you stop this? People, from now, you need to start asking yourself a question: how do you retire? And you need to think about this very quick, because you really got to understand. We're in a world right now, the cost of living is out of control. Inflation is out of control. And a lot of you are still making the same check you were making for the last 10 years. And there's still millions of Americans who believe that having majority of their money in a savings account will have them retire early. People, I'm going to say this once again. You got to understand, a Social Security check does not solve your problems. And the truth is, in the future, a lot of you are not even going to get a Social Security check. Right now, I want you guys to understand, if you are not invested into real estate, I don't care how you're invested, but I would prefer passive income. The reason I want to talk about buy and hold properties, a lot of you have this mindset where all you want to do is flip properties. You want to buy a property, flip it, make the profit in the middle. The problem is, as you get older and wiser, you also need to have properties that you're holding, because you got to really understand, you got to have what we call money substitution, in my eyes, where you have other dollars substituting your regular income. So imagine you're making, I don't know, $5,000 a month. When you retire, that $5,000 is gone if you don't have a retirement vehicle. So now you need something to substitute that income without you working. The only things that can really do that is a business, which is entrepreneurship, stocks to a certain degree, if you have a lot of shares paying high dividends, or 3, which is what I'm going to focus on, is real estate. At a certain point of your life, people, you got to start to buy and hold properties. You should not just be flipping every property, because you need to have that passive income. You need to have money working for you and not you working for the money. And I say this because a lot of us were so brainwashed into believing in jobs and savings accounts and thinking that as long as you have a savings account, all your problems are solved. This is why millions of Americans cannot retire today, because there is no investment vehicles that they prepared themselves for by being proactive 10, 20 years ago. Millions of Americans are hoping that Social Security can follow, of course, save all their issues, can, of course, free them from debt, can save them from financial hardship. At the end of the day, people, if you do not have any real estate in your portfolio, if you do not own any properties and you're collecting any rent, you need to start to put that on your yearly or monthly goals. Because without you collecting rental income from some type of property or some type of vehicle, you will hurt yourself financially. The reason that a lot of you are working as hard as you're working is because you have no real estate bringing you in money every single month. For some of you that do, shout out to you. That's always a blessing. Very smart of you for investing into real estate, buying and holding. And I love how this one gentleman said this in his video. He says, at the end of the day, one of the smartest things he said is that sometimes it's wiser to, instead of buying your personal home first, buy an investment property first, which to me, I feel is very true. At the end of the day, it's good to have an investment property first if you buy it right, and then you grow into your main property, because now you have something that's paying your main mortgage. And at the end of the day, that's less money that's coming out of your pocket every month, because you have already cash flow coming in. So I'm a strong believer in that. Should you buy your primary property first, or should you buy an investment property? I would rather you buy an investment property first, then buy your primary property. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have a mortgage. And mortgages are anywhere from $2,000 up to maybe $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, based on what lifestyle of a mortgage you want. And at the end of the day, if you have something that can offset that by at least 60 to 80%, it makes a big difference because that's more dollars you're able to save to have as what we call disposable income. Number two, a lot of you need to understand the power of investing into the stock market, especially into what we call dividend stocks. If you're that person that loves to just have money sitting in a savings account, why not transfer some of those dollars into some type of brokerage account? I like TD Ameritrade, and actually buy dividend stocks. One of my favorite dividend stocks that I hold a lot of shares of, is Ford. I am a big fan of Ford Company. I am a big fan of Ford dividends. I am a big fan of the Ford establishment. Ford stock is very powerful. It has a lot of room to grow in the future. So you're not only making money off of dividends every quarter, you're also making money off of course, appreciation. I think Ford stock right now is roughly at $12. If you look 10 to 15 years down the line, Ford should be at $100, maybe $150 a share, especially how they're about to come into the macro market and take control on a big macro spec of that electrical vehicle world. People's Ford stock is a very powerful stock, multi-billion-dollar market cap company. So for a lot of you that's asking yourself, what stocks you should be buying? You need stocks, in my opinion, that are cheap, that hold a lot of value, that are financially stable, that pay dividends if you can get that. And Ford fits that criteria at the highest level you could possibly think about. If you really think about it, if you're going long-term, if you have a long-term portfolio and you're trying to retire early, Ford stock should be in that portfolio. Because at the end of the day, the price point makes sense, the dividends make sense, the appreciation the future appreciation of the stock makes sense. To me, Ford is a great stock. I am a super fan of Ford. Now, a lot of you need to understand too, there's many other stocks you could invest into, but you got to really understand too. I posted the other day the whole Starbucks stock in 92, which was at 48 cents. And now it's at 107. People, I also spoke one time about Amazon stock was at, I think, $7, $8, and then it went to maybe $3,800. People, you got to really understand, these stocks took 20 years to get there. So if you're going to buy a stock right now, in my opinion, you need to find a company that's financially sound. To me, something that's not expensive, so you can have way more shares of it, way more, aka pieces of the company. So as it appreciates in value, just like Starbucks, from 48 cents to 21 years later to $107, you made that whole spread. Instead of buying stocks that's at 200, where you're not going to have enough shares or enough pieces, and you're not going to create a lot of wealth. You see a lot of these influencers and fake gurus on YouTube telling you you could become rich off of dividends. Yes, it's true if you have enough shares. A lot of you don't understand. If you want to retire early, you need to buy enough shares in a certain type of stock to see the long-term growth 10 to 20 years from now. You cannot buy 10 shares and think you're going to see wealth. 30 shares, 50 shares is not going to do enough for you to retire and you have you super wealthy. A lot of these people that tell you they made millions of dollars off of dividend stocks and off of stocks is because they bought a lot of shares and they held long term, and that's how they retired early. People, be smart and just listen sometimes, and you will see growth in your life. A lot of you, I get it, you're in this world listening to broke people giving you advice, and for some reason you're actually implementing that in your everyday life. I can't tell people why. I won't do that. People, sometimes in life, if you just listen, you will go far. This is not a pride thing. This is not an ego thing for me. This is me just giving you guys my experiences and the truth to creating wealth, people. If you want to see wealth, I don't know one wealthy person that don't own apartment doors or that don't own real estate, that's not collecting rent. I don't know anybody who makes $1 million minimum who does not own real estate. Anybody who makes $1 million or more owns real estate. Who has a net worth of $1 million or more own some type of real estate. It could be houses. It could be duplexes. It could be triplexes. It could be buildings. It could be plazas. Real estate is how they're creating their wealth, by creating a platform or a portfolio, which you should have, that's giving them passive income. And the truth is, for some reason, a lot of you do not have any type of portfolio giving you cash flow. All you have is a job. And a lot of you know, as Robert T. Kiyosaki said, a job stands for just over broke. And the truth is, there's nothing wrong with having a job, but just don't get comfortable in the job. Take your dollars and invest it into stocks if you want to retire early, or real estate, people. Real estate is number one. The third thing I want to say is, if you want to retire early, and I'll take some questions if you guys have any questions, is you got to start investing your time to surround yourself around people who are smarter than you. If you want to retire early, put yourself around people who are smarter than you, and you will see a lot of wealth in your life. If you're the smartest person in your group of friends, you don't understand how you're hurting your life and you're wasting your time, because growth is created from being around people who are smarter than you, who you can learn from, who is going to keep it truthful with you. When you do something wrong, they're going to tell you what you did made no damn sense. The way your life is going financially is not going to get you anywhere. You need those type of friends in life that's going to be raw and organic with you, to tell you, hey, look, what you're making a year is not enough. I just told somebody that a couple of days ago. Listen, you're making about 50, 60,000 a year. That's not enough. Until you get to at least 100, 120, you're going to be budgeting your life to the day you die. And there's nothing worse than being an American, born in this country, speak the language of English, and you're budgeting your life till you die. So let me get this right. You were raised to struggle for the rest of your life and survive. You were not raised to live your life. People, at a certain point of your life, as you get older, you need to put your life on cruise control. You should be putting your feet up more often and having people pay you rent. If people are not paying you rent, people, you're not doing what wealthy people are doing, which is 1, having a positive mindset, 2, living their best life, 3, having money work for them and not them work for the money. A lot of you are still to this day working so hard for the money. You have no asset or no portfolio that's working for you. And number 3, people, like I said, people, get around positive people. Get around people who are smarter than you. If you follow these 3 steps, you will go far and retire early. If you want to retire early, invest into real estate. Not just flipping real estate, holding real estate and collecting rent. Number 2, invest into the stock market. The stock market have created a lot of millionaires. This week alone, you guys seen how much money I made in seconds. People, at the end of the day, how many ways you want to see that you can invest into the stock market, real estate, or self-investment and see true wealth? The reason I had to shoot this video is because the route that I'm seeing a lot of people going, it's sad. Some of you don't realize, and maybe you'll watch this video 5 years later and finally thank me and say to yourself, man, I should have listened. A lot of you are going in a path of failure because you're not invested into anything. You're scared to take a risk. You're listening to broke people. You're listening to broke advice. You're not saving. You're at a grown adult age, still don't understand the value of credit. People have to educate you on why you should have good credit at 30, 40, or 50. You are far behind. As a mature adult, credit is something you gotta have. It's more valuable than cash. I make a lot of money off of credit. That's why I say one of the things I recommend for a lot of you, as you guys know, the end of this month, I'm doing my only flipping real estate show, teaching you straightforward how I flip real estate. It's $99, people. Make sure you have subscribed on Mentourme.com. Shout out to all people that have already done that. I will see you guys April 30th. Get on Mentourme.com. I'm teaching you guys how to flip real estate. And I'll also be talking a little bit about buying a hold, but this is going to be more on flipping real estate. because a lot of you need to start somewhere. Sometimes it's good to flip real estate just to get at least some capital. And then from there, you need to, of course, start buying, holding real estate and collecting cash flow. Because the reason a lot of you are working overtime, the reason a lot of you are working 2-3 jobs, because you have no income substitution. You have nothing else bringing you in money except the job. And this is why a lot of you are financially struggling. This is why a lot of you have no savings. This is why a lot of you are dependent on a tax return check. This is why a lot of you are still renting, because you have no other source of income. And now if you want to learn how to create another source of income, this is what the show of April 30th is going to do for you. It's going to teach you how to flip real estate with money. I'm teaching you live for 2-3 hours how to flip real estate with money and without. Anybody tells you need money in real estate to make money, that is 100% lie. You can make money in real estate with no money. The reality is, and the real question is, do you have the stamina? Are you hungry enough to push through closed doors? Are you hungry enough to fight for a deal? Are you hungry enough to broker a deal? Just simply meaning putting yourself in the middle of a buyer and seller. People, you're going to learn a lot of what I'm talking about on April 30th. Shouts out to all of you. Let me get off this live. Let me answer any questions. Do anybody have any questions before I get off? I have a question right here. Saudia S. Ally says, where's the best place to purchase stocks? That's a simple question, but it's a great question. Every platform you could buy stocks. I usually recommend to people, TD Ameritrade is a very simple platform. I'm a super fan of TD, which is owned by Charles Schwab. Also, Robinhood is a very simple platform to use, and it's free. You could buy and sell stocks there. But again, in this world today, if you want to grow wealth, I don't think you should be selling at this point. You should be buying and holding for minimum 5 to 10 years. And that's how you're going to see that long-term wealth. So to answer your question, I would say Robinhood. I would say TD Ameritrade. Some people like E-Trade. There's TradeStation. But they're my top two, especially as a beginner or even as an advanced individual. I really like TD Ameritrade. I've been with TD maybe 12 years. And I also love Robinhood. I think Robinhood is a great platform for beginners. It's very easy to use. It's not complicated. It brings you straight to the point of investing into the stock market. And I love the fact that now they're becoming more, bringing more awareness into how the stock market works and information and global aspects of life. And they're doing a great job. Also, Charles Schwab is good at that too, which they have a section that a lot of people don't use. I'm sorry to not remember the name, Charles Schwab, right? But it has a section like, it'll tell you, let's say you wanted to know the top carbonated drink companies in the world, the top 10. It would just give you that with actually not having to search. And it's actually live data. And that's very powerful because sometimes you don't want to buy McDonald's stock, ticker MCD, at 200 and something. You want something that's similar to McDonald's that can still give you that value, and it'll give you different derivatives that's just as strong as McDonald's for a way cheaper price, instead of some of you going on Finviz, which I'm a super fan of also. But that's a great question. Sadia asked another question. Stash or Cash App? Sadia, none of those apps are what I like to call professional apps. If you're going to ask about apps, I would rather you use PayPal. I would rather you say you're Zelling. I would rather you say you're using maybe Venmo, maybe Stripe. The problem with Cash App, and you guys heard condolences to the person who created Cash App, just was pronounced dead a couple of days ago. I guess he was stabbed in, I think, San Francisco, California. The problem with Cash App and those type of apps, one, in the professional market, people don't really use them. I don't really have my professional clients Cash Apping me. My professional clients usually are Zelling me, Venmoing me, PayPaling me. They don't really Cash App me. I think Cash App is more of a downgraded platform to me. I'm not really a fan of Cash App on a lot of different aspects. But again, I get it. You want to receive your cash, you want to send cash, I get it. But I'm going to tell you, why do I feel this way? I think Cash App, my problem with Cash App is that, not even I think, the problem with Cash App is you can't use that. You can't use their statements to buy a property. You can't use their statements to use it as a sourceable way of funds. And that's a problem. Because let's say you wanted to show you made a certain amount of money and everybody been Cash Apping you. You can't use Cash App as a reliable, sourceable way to say, this is how I'm making my money. People will rather see Clover. They'll rather see Venmo. They'll rather see lenders will rather see PayPal. They'll rather see Stripe. They'll rather see Zelle payments than to actually see Cash App as your sourceable way of showing income. So that's why I'm not too much of a fan of Cash App. I do not actually have Cash App anymore. I actually removed the app from my phones because I don't like what it stands for. So, and I also feel certain ways about the government when it comes to Cash App. So I'm not going to use Cash App. I hope I answered a lot of your questions. Today we talked about 3 ways to retire early. Great question, Sadia, in regards to should you use Cash App. I told you guys I'm not a fan, and I explained why. Pre-watch this video if some of you just tuned in. And guys, at the end of the day, be great. Time is ticking. You're getting older. You got to start to really ask yourself a question. How do you retire? You know, and you got to think quick, because at the end of the day, if you're not invested into real estate, if you're not invested into stocks, if you're not around people who are smarter than you, you're putting yourself 10 to 15 years behind. At the end of the day, that's why I'm always teaching you guys my truth to my life, how I've created a lot of wealth, how I'm a 7-figure net worth earner, and how I put myself in that position. It's because I change how I think. I put myself around certain types of people. I'm invested into what wealthy people have always invested into. I'm not the first to do it. Stocks and, of course, real estate. For a lot of you that want to learn more, feel free to get on my Mentourme site. It's called The Millionaire Mindset. Every last Sunday, or every last Sunday at 2 to 4 p.m., I teach you guys something new. This month, I'm teaching how to flip real estate with money and without. If you want to take your life to the next level, it doesn't hurt you to try and invest. $99 a month. Come learn something new every month. And I'm going to be hosting this month, April 30th. This is your boy Bob from mentorme.com. You guys have a great morning, actually. And I'll see you guys soon on my next video. Mentor Me. Shouts out to everybody that's on my live on, I think that's IG, Facebook, YouTube, all that good stuff. Martha, Sadia, people that's on the live. Enjoy yourself. Peace.